I just got back from a 10-hour drive to Germany where I picked up something really unique. Now, I had seen it before. About 2 months ago there was an ad, but when I called I was too late. It was already sold. Now, yesterday I spotted it again, exactly the same thing. So I called the guy immediately and I said, I'll take it. And then this morning I picked it up. It was a long drive, about 1,000 kilometers, but believe me, it is worthwhile getting it. And here it is, a unique and all original Formula Konig race car. And just in case if you don't know what Formula Konig is, it's a German racing class that started somewhere in the mid-80s until the early 90s. And actually Schumacher was one of the champions in 1988 with a Konig race car exactly like this one. This is an extract from the driver's database for Formula Konig in 1988, and it shows the standings at that time. And you will notice that Michael Schumacher was in the first position with 192 points, and he was actually driving the Totus Formula Konig Fiat. And this is exactly what the car is that I have. It had fitted the 900cc Fiat engine in it, and the chassis was originally developed by Totus. And it actually came with a lot of spare parts. As you can see, it's piled up, but I've got spare rain tires, both for the front and the back, spare uprights, whiz bones, water pumps, you name it, gaskets, pretty good stuff. So I'm quite happy. In fact, I even got a whole bunch of new noses, because those you tend to break very quickly. So I think this was a really, really good buy. And you're probably going to say, well, don't you have one like this already? And yes, I do, but not the same. This is the 1990 Formula Konig that we actually have rebuilt, but with the Kawasaki engine. And the difference between mine and this one is right underneath the rear bonnet. So I've taken off the shell so I can have a closer look on the car before we try to get it started. And the interesting part is right here in the front. The tag says it's built in 1992, and it's number 5 of 92. And that's different than my other one. My other one is from 1990. But that also explains why this car is having a different engine. When the Formula Konig started, the engines were based on a Fiat 900cc engine. That was the limitation you had on those cars. And they had the standard gearbox, and that was really an issue. So later on, that limitation was lifted and they were allowed to put in a 1.4 liter Volkswagen engine, and then actually Volkswagen engaged in Formula Konig. And this is a Volkswagen GT 1.4 liter engine which we have in this car with 2 DCOE carburetors on the side. This is actually souped up, but this is around 140, 150 horsepower. You might think that is not a lot, but think about the weight of this car. This is about 450 kilograms. Now that is a lot of horsepower per kilogram, 0.35 horsepower per kilogram. That is more than a Porsche GT3 S. So really, this is really powerful because it's so light. So it's always about horsepower and weight. So in the 1990 Formula Konig, I have the Kawasaki engine sitting. And as you can see, it's a completely different fit. This is my spare ZX-9R Kawasaki engine, and it develops around 150 horsepower at 15,000 RPMs. So when that is fitted in the blue Konig race car, as you just saw, that is really good because the blue race car is only 400 kilograms. It's 50 kilograms lighter than the one with the Volkswagen GT engine in it. So in other words, I'm having a really, really good horsepower versus weight ratio. And I think, and I scribbled it down, it's a 0.37 horsepower per kilogram. If you compare that with a Porsche 911 GT3 RS, which has 540 horsepower, but it's more heavy, that horsepower versus weight is, and I have to look again, is 0.36. Can you imagine that? Well, it is. In terms of performance, I think this will accelerate between 3.8 to 4 seconds from 0 to 100, something like that. And I think top speed will be about 220 to 30. Although the bike spec says 270, but it all depends a bit on the sprockets that I put on. We'll see. I don't know. We'll figure that out once we are on the track. For the other one, I have no clue. Again, also it will depend on what kind of gears you put in the dog box. It probably won't be as fast as this one. I don't think so. I'm going to try to get it started and see. I already checked the oil, so things should be all right. So let's see if we can get it started, and we're going to give it a little bit of extra help with an extra battery. This is what you typically have on these cars. So you have a small battery inside. You have no generator, so you use an extra battery to start it. And by the way, this is the Hooland gearbox. We call this a dog box, and that really makes a huge difference for racing because you can change the gears inside depending on the track. Fuel pump goes. Wow. Well, the reverse is working. Brakes are not all that good. So it's time for me now to get dirty and start rebuilding these cars. There's a little bit of work on them, but they will be finished just like I did the blue one. So keep watching.